Hi, I'm Keegan, and this is a bunch of gamers. Welcome back to GM Talks. I am joined once again by Hiromi,
Hi, Tai. When the Hiromi I mean. Greetings, gamers.
and we're here to talk about Green Ronin's new game, the Broken Earth, based off of the novel of the same name. Uh,
So it's actually titled Fifth Season Role
the
Playing.
fifth seat.
Uh,
Oh, you're right. My
yeah,
fault.
Broken Earth is the name of the trilogy,
Yeah.
the of novels that it comes from.
Yes.
Uh,
I
yeah,
apologize.
it's no worries.
But no, it's a great setting. Very funny though. When I was in a book club about the book, one of the first things everyone said is, "Man, this world would kind of suck to live in, right? Because it is unforgiving." So, I'm curious what kind of things you bring in to make this a really interesting world to play in and be in.
Well, part of that is that in the setting, there are comms, which are the communities, the cities, the villages and towns that people live in. And in the game, your comm is essentially an additional character. So, like, when you make a game and you sit down with your gaming group, the first thing you do is you make your comm and you collectively figure out what's happened in the past year to sort of explain how its stats are the way that they are and to give you a springboard to jump off of in creating your characters. So your characters end up not just existing within this setting, but having something to do with the events of the past year, which gives them sort of an explanation as to why they're the ones in charge of dealing with problems.
Kind of reminds me of Modiphius's Dune game, where you have to create your kingdom, and you sort of zoom out to do kingdom stuff, and then when the adventure happens, you zoom into the individual characters. Is it kind of similar to that, or kind of unique in a different way?
It's kind of similar to Modiphius's version of that concept. The idea is that your adventures will impact your comm, and then, of course, like the larger events that happen in the comm will also impact your characters. So it's very much a cyclical nature where you'll play a bit zoomed in and then play a bit zoomed out. And you can, of course, adjust the amount of time that you spend at any one given level of play to better suit your gaming group. But the idea is that you're you're trying to survive in a world that the world literally wants to kill you. Like it's Father Earth hates his human children for reasons that are huge spoilers. uh, but there's all sorts of problems going on in the world. It's very easy for you to run into issues of economic injustice because the comms in the equatorials, the center region, they have the wealth, they have seismic stability, and people out towards the periphery, they don't have nearly as much money, they don't have nearly as much seismic stability, which means that uh, earthquakes and volcanoes and all sorts of other nastiness can crop up and really screw with your com's ability to survive, which in turn impacts your character's ability to survive, and also what your characters need to do in order to make sure that your people survive.
So when you do the comm stuff, when you're building comms, I'm just curious if you get closer to the equatorials and you miss, does that affect the points or kind of like the random events that happen to the comm proper, like more economic turmoil towards the equator, and then maybe more seismic stuff or a gradient of mixed things as you get closer to the periphery?
Mhm. For kind of game balance, didn't we didn't do it that way. Um, like it would make sense to have that as sort of a I don't know difficulty slider. Um, but we wanted to make sure that like the game felt good for everyone. So instead, there's a bit of dice rolling to figure out how your stats end up working out, and they they provide a bit of variation to it. Each player is going to roll 3d6, and um, the the roll is going to partially determine what's happening with that comms quality. Um, Basically, we have 12 possibilities for your stats. And so you're rolling 3d6 to sort of give yourself a better bed of randomness. So, like, I mean, as most gamers know, the more dice you roll, the more even the numbers tend to distribute. So you don't end up with something that's just like absolutely outrageous, but instead you end up with a good mix of stats. And we also have another version to play with it, which is just rolling 2d6, which sort of flattens out the randomness a bit. But in general, you're going to end up with calm qualities that are around a 6, which, if you're familiar with the age system, you know that that's not bad. That's actually a pretty solid stat.
Okay, very cool. So we're doing that, and then I'm guessing this is kind of I want to say setting neutral because that's not really, that doesn't make it a lick of sense. It's neutral in terms of the timeline within the story. Then yes, like it's probably sometime, basically sometime before the first book or during the first
Yes.
book, and then before the fall of Yumiz.
Yeah, exactly. In the novels, almost immediately, the supercontinent that everything happens on is torn in half, which creates some huge issues, and makes it more difficult for people to survive. But in our game, we let you determine whether or not you want to have such a calamity and when you're going to have that calamity. Although it is kind of up to the GM as to when bad stuff happens.
Sure. And then, so I'm guessing that there are some mechanics for like maybe not the fifth season of the novel, but a fifth season can occur in your game, and then it creates kind of drama, tension, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the game and in the setting, you have things that are called fifth seasons, which are the result of some kind of seismic cataclysm, and they are world reshaping events that can be really nasty and kill off a lot of people, which means that it's much more difficult for the people in your comm to survive. So your game can have its own fifth season, and what that looks like doesn't have to be what happened in the novels. It can be one that's completely unique. It can be one that resembles some of the historical ones that happened in the games and the book's lore. It can take a lot of forms and will end up looking really particular to your game.
And then it releases the boil bugs, which are the most horrific aspect of the
Oh
novels.
yeah, oh yeah, boil bugs are fucking horrific.
Yes. Or
Yeah,
what if
so if folks are unfamiliar, boil bugs are they're kind of like mosquitoes if mosquitoes could boil you from the inside out.
yeah, and then they burrow into you and it's woo.
Yeah, no, they will mess you up, and
Yeah.
it will sound awful the whole fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason why we have safety tools, so that if the concept of boil bugs is just super horrific and you just don't want to deal with it, you don't have to. You can talk with your group and make sure that that either doesn't happen or that it happens in a way where it's abstracted, where like people die of burns and you don't need to go into exactly how those burns happen.
Yeah, or the real nasty concept of maybe losing a pet, because I remember in the first novel, I can't remember the name of the animal, it was like a oversized weasel that,
Kakusa.
thank you, yes, and they basically are like dogs almost all the time unless a season happens and the ash gets high enough, and then they turn into like ravenous meat eaters and hunt in packs and things like that. That's mildly off-putting.
Yeah, there's actually a great illustration of season change Kirkusa in the book. So yeah, ordinarily they look like otters. They look like large otters and are very playful and cheerful. And when a fifth season happens, they get very hungry and they get very concerned about acquiring food. And they're not small creatures, and they do have claws and teeth, and they will use them.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're pack hunters, which
Yes.
is just the worst.
Yeah. Yes. And I think they're vegetarian all other times or close
Yes,
to.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Ordinarily, they're vegetarians, and you don't have to worry about
About
them
them.
doing anything nasty to you.
Yeah. And so I heard a little bit about on your YouTube stream with Green Ronin that the primary focus, at least especially for new people, is some of the normal use casts, and for listeners in the novel series, there are use casts that you are kind of born into and can sometimes transition into based on circumstances for like what you do for a living, what your role in society is. Would you be willing to go into a little more detail on that?
Yeah, certainly. So there are technically 7 major use casts. However, there are effectively just 5 for most people, for most circumstances. So you have the breeder caste, and even though the name is breeder, they don't necessarily have to be the ones procreating themselves. The caste is ultimately responsible for maintaining population within a comm, but they don't have to be the ones doing it. They can instead just be a lot of things. I mean, they can be doctors, they can be midwives, they can be interpersonal counselors, they can be therapists, they can be sex therapists, and they can, of course, be the ones actually doing the procreation. Oh, and they're also caregivers. In addition to being responsible for children being born, they're also responsible for rearing children. So they run the crutch, which is a kind of like a kindergarten, kind of like a preschool kindergarten all rolled together. Other English-speaking countries use the term crutch for that basic concept, but here in America, we don't. There's also the strongback cast, which is kind of what it sounds like. It's all of the physical laborers. Well, no, it's many of the physical laborers, the ones who need strength more than they do finesse. So we're talking builders, we're talking guards, we're talking farmers. There's the resistant caste, which the idea is that they recover from injuries faster, they're less susceptible to disease, which means that they are often in healthcare and service roles. So they can be doctors, nurses, wait staff. They can also be farmers, but they're more likely going to be dealing with diseased crops and managing that. There's the innovator class, or the innovator use cast, which is the scientists. So they could also work on a farm, but as a crop scientist, they can be inventors, they can be engineers, they can do a lot of things. They're a very brainy class. There's also the leaders. The leader use cast is generally pretty small, so that each comm has uh, a more focused leadership group, so that there's less confusion as to who's doing what, so that it's clearer who's in charge and what orders to follow. And
Um,
the two majors that I left out of the 5 because they are unusual and they are kind of game breaking, are the Origin and the Guardian class. So Origins are basically wizards. They are basically earthbenders. If you're familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, they can sense things going on in the ground, even miles away. They can move and manipulate stone pretty much at will and as much as they would like. They can freeze an area around them, just like draw the heat out of that and then channel that heat elsewhere. So like if if you're playing as an Origin, you are incredibly powerful and you are also socially constrained in what you can do because all Origins need to be kind of licensed and trained. And so if you're not, you are being hunted either to get you training or to kill you. And that's the job of the Guardians. Guardians are responsible for handling Origins. So there's a bit of a X-Men vibe going on where Origins are incredibly powerful and incredibly useful for making sure that society lives on. So they're very much responsible for making sure that the world keeps living despite all of the seismic activity, and they can even prevent fifth seasons. But the world in general hates and fears them, just as they do the X-Men. So you can think of Guardians as Sentinels, basically.
But a little more horrific. I was wondering. I think the answer is no. But is there any kind of like taint tracker for Guardians as they potentially get closer and closer to Father Earth and start to lose themselves to that?
There is not, I don't believe. I need to double check that because those were part of the rules that we added recently.
Ah,
Yeah, I don't believe there's such a tracker. However, we are supposed to do an origin focused book. I say we, but it's not me, it's Green Ronin. They will probably hire me to do it, but I am not technically a Ronin, so I can't say that I'm in charge of it.
it sounds like you took over this project too. Is that a correct kind of assumption?
Yeah. So originally, it was Tanya DePass and Joe Carricker, who are two wonderful, fantastic people who, when the pandemic happened and everyone just sort of got bogged down with everything, I had been working as a writer and developer for, I think, 2 or 3 years at that point. So when Joe and Tanya needed some help, they reached out to me because I was already on the book as a writer, and they were really happy with how it was working. So as they ended up needing their time and energy for other tasks, I took on a larger and larger role within the book until I ended up as the lead developer, which is generally not how books happen. It's how this one happened, and we got the job done.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And congrats, by the way, on becoming the lead developer on the project.
Well, thank you.
But no, I was kind of curious because I know the Origin and the Guardian dynamic is so kind of set that I just had questions since those seem to be a larger part of the novel series, especially. But I know that limits the number of stories you have if you're not doing anything during or after the book series. How closely did you guys end up working with the author Jemison?
We worked pretty closely. So she got two full text passes where she went through the whole book and marked up things that we could do better. And she was giving us information and sort of secrets behind the scenes stuff kind of all along the way, which is why I can say that like Origins and Guardians are the final two members of the seven major use casts because I don't believe that's in the books. I believe that is strongly hinted in the books, but I don't believe the books actually state it.
I think so. If I remember, in book two, the leader of the the geode city, I'm
Mhm.
failing to remember her name. She said she started calling herself. She started using the slur for Origins as her use cast, and thought she was clever enough in inventing it. But I think all the characters, especially in the flashbacks of the first book, you're right. I think they hint at it, but they don't. They don't say it outright.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Origins are used to being very much downtrodden and under the heel of the Guardians. So uh, they don't generally think of themselves as being their own legitimate use cast. But if you go back far enough in the lore, they absolutely are.
Yes.
uh, I believe that there's at least like one tablet in the books where they have the five major use casts that I first listed off, and then like a blank line where someone chiseled out two more names. And from that, we're supposed to infer that it's Origins and Guardians, but the books themselves, I don't believe,
Yeah.
give that. Also, the novels don't have a full collection of the stone lore that N.K. Jemisin wrote. We do, and that's in the game.
That's really cool. Like that actually gets me a little more excited already to pick it up. I find that really neat, and yeah, because it is interesting because stone lore keeps changing too. That was kind of the irony I think in the books was it's written in stone, it can never change, and it's like, but it really can. We chisel things out every now and then.
Yeah,
But so you said it uses the age system. Could you, for those who are unfamiliar with that system, could you kind of give a few details of maybe how the game kind of plays and what some of its more unique features are?
yeah, absolutely. So it's it uses dice and target numbers in a way that is going to feel pretty familiar to a lot of different games. So, like, if you're used to D&D, you're throwing 3d6 instead of 1d20. If you're more used to like vampire and other storytelling, story path systems, then you're still throwing 3d6, so your dice pool is always going to be 3, and you're adding up that result, plus a relevant ability score, and then plus a bonus for an ability focus if you have it. So that ends up feeling a lot like D&D and D and Pathfinders, adding your modifier and then adding your proficiency bonus. And the target number, which is the same thing as a DC in D&D, that's the target, that's the number that you're trying to reach. And in addition to that, when you roll dice and two or more of the dice show the same number, then you generate stunt points for that roll. If you're successful, that is. If you're not successful, then it it's not as impactful. However, there's a whole stunt system that lets you use those stunts to do better on your roll. Let me let me grab a stunt so that I can give you an example of things that you can do.
Sure. And is kind of just a quick tangent off that because you're using the 3/6, then it feels less swingy than like a D&D or a Pathfinder, which might come as a relief to some people.
Yeah, yeah, because you're rolling three dice, you're going to generally get about, well, statistically you'll get 10.5, but you can't actually roll a 10.5, so it it's a bit of probability playing. So some sense that you can do in an action scene is that you can boost your success even further You can dodge, you can take cover, you can move yourself or your target. You can have an ally just make an immediate attack on your foe. You can do a second attack on your own, and you can even just knock them out if you've already hit them a couple of times.
Oh, cool. No, very cool. So that's neat. And I'm guessing that some of the stunts for orogeny is then going to be a little over the top. Probably not
Oh
super
yeah.
game breaking, but I don't know how to put it outside of lore terms. Because I know you said you weren't going to make the hyper powerful origins, which fair world shattering powers in the hands of players through play is just asking for balance to be kind of thrown out the window. Is maybe like on a scale of 1 to 10 rings, where do they fall?
So origins can be anywhere between 1 and 7 rings in the game. If you're like 1 to 3 rings, you're probably still being trained. You're probably not actually going on adventures outside of the fulcrum, which is the sort of training and dorm system for origins. But yeah, no, you can get up to 7 rings in the game, and at that stage, you can begin blending orogeny with magic, which is a it's a separate system, and it's a huge spoiler for the books. But it's it's a kind of another level of power that you can use and play with.
Yeah, I couldn't
Uh,
remember what ring level the Fulcrum started training some magic for. I thought it was it 7?
oh, the fulcrum doesn't train magic at all.
I thought they had select ones who they semi taught in magic. For just in case. I might be misremembering, but I thought there was a whole thing where because some who had some talent for it, they took them aside and trained them just enough on the off chance that they needed to use it against Father Earth. But I could be misremembering. It has been a year or so since I read the series.
I don't know. I don't think so, but
Okay.
it's also been a bit since I've read it. Yeah.
But well, since the magic does come up, then which is interesting. Does that mean that there's any stuff about stone eaters that come up in the tabletop?
Stone eaters exist. So stone eaters are they are living statues that can move faster than you can blink, and they eat stone. And if they feel like it, they can drag you underground and just leave you there, just like drag you down to the mantle of the earth and just leave you there if they feel like it. And as as adversaries in the game, uh, they're kind of horrific. They are by far the nastiest. Well, I was gonna say by far the nastiest thing that you can encounter, but uh, that might go to the Guardians.
Yeah, I was gonna say, being just put in darkness and incinerated is way better than having your orogeny turned back on you and rumbling you into like meat stew from the inside. Once again, a minor spoiler for the books.
Yeah, the reason why Guardians are so effective against Origins is that they can they can just like shut down someone's power, or they can even just reflect it and make you destroy yourself, which is super bad.
Yeah. Um. No, I was like the only thing that the Stone Eater has going for it is effectively immortal, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly. But yeah, Guardians are very very terrifying. So I know because you got that extra stuff on stone lore that's in the books. Do we get to get some additional lore details about some of the greater regions of the world of the stillness and like the poles, the southern fulcrum, the northern fulcrum, or Umis culture?
Not all of that, but yes. So we have sections that talk about each of the different regions. and describe um, sort of interesting comms in that area that you can either use as your comm or you can just have as your neighbors. Um, so we have, oh, and Jimenez is like its own section within the Equatorials. So like Jimenez gets detailed in a pretty good amount of detail. Let's see how many pages. About 3.5 pages just on Jimenez. And then another 2 pages on the equatorials at large. Uh, the fulcrums are mostly left um, with about the same amount of information as you get in the books, um, which is to say that the Eumenes fulcrum and the Antarctic fulcrum you get to learn a little bit about. The Arctic fulcrum continues to be a mystery
Okay.
because we no one has that information except N.K. Jemisin. But we theoretically have more books to come, so we'll probably change that.
Neat.
But yeah, we have a world map that has just tons of detail in it. Um, it is a brand new map, so not based on the one in the novels because those are licensed separately. Those, if we used that map, one, we wouldn't have as much detail as we do, and two, we would have to license them from the publisher and whoever the rights holder is at that time. So like it would be a huge legal hassle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had no idea. That's
Yeah, the rights to the map go to the holder of the current print license, which is instability that Green Ronin didn't want.
yeah.
So instead, they had me figure out what the map would look like, which means that I sat down and calculated the approximate distances between basically everywhere
Okay.
because we don't generally get distances in the novels expressed in miles. We instead get them expressed in terms of hours and days. So I needed to calculate how far someone could move over sand on foot versus with horses on highways. So it turned out very well, and I'm pretty proud of it.
I
Yeah.
I mean, you should. That's really impressive and really cool that you ended up doing all that research for that. So, what sort of events could players expect to happen in downtime or during calm zoom out phases? What are some of the things? I know we briefly touched on them, but what are some of the things that really stand out to you?
As sort of like a big, exciting event, you could have to deal with raiders as a comm. So not just fighting them off with your heroes, but having to deal with potentially losing people, with dealing with the consequences of combat on a more human scale. You could have seismic activity, you could have earthquakes, famine, going off the top of my head because I'm in the wrong part of the book for that. So there's the possibility for internal disputes. Something could get stolen. There's a possibility that the thief could be someone within the comm, which causes its own upheaval. There could be a dead civ, so ruins of a long lost but highly technologically advanced civilization could show up near your comm, and then it becomes a matter of can you travel to it and get stuff out of it. It's possible that an unlicensed origin could just be discovered in your comm, and if that happens, then you have to contend with uh, really sort of getting them out of the comm without them destroying your comm. All of this gets abstracted out through relatively simple tests so that the zoom out system kind of works more efficiently. But if at any time you encounter a situation where you, as players, want to deal with the situations on your own, then you can just do that. Like you don't have to solve it with a single roll of the dice. You can get your characters out and then work on that issue yourself. Um, you could have strangers show up, like travelers who want to trade. You could have someone who has been away from the comm for a while and they have a lot of skill in a certain area that you can add to your comm. Could be refugees, could be an imperial visitor, like your Cortent governor, or even a guardian or fulcrum or both. There are a lot of things that could happen. There are, in fact, 36 things that could happen.
Very cool. No, that's I am very curious about this game to be sure because it is a great setting and it is rife for adventure and interesting storytelling. What other things do you think really stand out about either the setting or how you implemented the system that'll really get players and GMs excited to run games inside this world?
I think one of the big features is that your comm is effectively an additional character. So, in a lot of games, you are playing as your characters, and you might have a hometown, you might have a home bar that you work out of, but it's not something that you are super attached to. But in the game, in fifth season, your comm is hugely important to you. It determines what kind of equipment you have. It gives you bonuses and specific roles, and it's where you live. It's where your friends are. It's where your family is. So you you are intrinsically part of this community, and your community is very important to you for a lot of reasons, both mechanical and lore wise. So I think right now people can use the sense of community because there's a lot of reasons to feel fractured and to feel unmoored from life and a greater society. So being part of a community by default as a core part of the game, I think that's really valuable to us right now.
Agreed, and I think creating some of that community aspect in the games we play is very helpful. And I know you've been avoiding spoilers for the books, so does that mean that my assumption that this is going to be very new new person or maybe not even a fan of the original book series friendly to really get into, dive into, sink their teeth into?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't have to have read the books in order to have a really comprehensive grasp of the world. Yeah, we avoid spoilers as much as possible, but there are certain things that we definitely spoil because there's no way of getting around that. Like for instance, we acknowledge that the islands are habitable. In in the books, the islands are thought to be completely uninhabited, completely uninhabitable, and just basically like suicide to live on. But people can live on islands if they have a friendly origin, which means that they have a different societal system. And most of these are going to be around Maov, but like they don't they don't have to be. We have information of the terrain and features of the islands, of the people there, political systems, even like what they eat and how they can trade, although they do less trading and more piracy.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I So does the game distinguish between a fulcrum trained and a feral origin then?
Yes. Not being trained means that you're going to have kind of a stymied progression track. Like you can still get better, you can still develop your powers, but it's a little bit harder. And you, if you're a feral origin, which is to say if you're an unlicensed, untrained origin, then you also have to contend with the fact that guardians are going to hunt you. So it's up to your fellow players to make sure that you don't get killed, which uh, makes for a really fun dynamic. I played with that dynamic with the quick start that released 2 years ago. Yeah, in that quick start, there are there is a feral origin on your team. No one has to play them if you don't want to, so you don't have to have that character in your game if you don't want to have origin in orogeny in your game. But you can, you absolutely can.
Cool. And is it really up to the group then to have the maturity to make sure that you don't have a kind of a main character uh, situation, or are there tools within the game to try and help people navigate that?
It is mainly up to your group. We do have safety tools to help people navigate that sticky spot, but like it's when you're that when you're that much more powerful than the other characters, it can get away from people. So it's kind of on the individual groups to make sure that the most megalomaniac player doesn't end up playing in Origin.
Yeah. No, fair. Totally fair. I know we're getting close to time. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts you really want to talk about regarding the game, the series, and how it's affected the game? Anything like that?
Yeah, so at its heart, the game is about survival in a hostile world by helping and relying and being able to rely on your community, which, like, again, that's like very much something that we need right now. And so I think that the spirit of the game lends itself to the world that we live in. And I hope that that resonates with people because you can win. Like you can find success in this game in this game world where maybe you won't be able to in the real life, or maybe that change will take years, but you can do it in game and um, feel um, hope. You can feel hope in this game. It's a very dangerous world. There's a lot of things. The cards are very much stacked against you, but with sort of grit and hope and good role playing, you can make it happen. You can make the world that you want to live in happen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Hiromi. Is there any place online you want to be found if you so desire to be found?
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky, just at Hiromi Cota, dot Blue Sky dot something. I forget how they have it set up exactly, but
Yeah.
just punch my name into into the search function. Uh, it's it's just me. There's no one else unless I get popular enough that people stalk me, which I hope never happens.
Yeah.
Um, Also, there's going to be a fifth season live play at PAX U. So November 21st at 5:30 Eastern, Tanya DePass is going to be there. She was one of the other developers on the game. Quincy's Tavern, who is kind of famous in TikTok and such. Eugenio Vargas also worked on the game. Mandy P, Taru Hunter, and Brian Gray are also going to be there. So it's a full cast of great people, and I hope people enjoy the actual play.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much. I've been Keegan. This is A Bunch of Gamers. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, Blue Sky, Facebook, but you'll never find me on Twitter. I find a cesspool and I was proven right.